turns fatal. A fiery crash in Texas leaves 16 people dead.
And police say, Clayton, that the balloon burst into flames after colliding with power lines, causing it to plummet to the ground, making this the deadliest balloon crash on record in the United States.
Deborah Hersman is the former chairman of the National Transportation Safety Board. She's now president and CEO of the National Safety Council, and she joins us now to weigh in on what exactly happened. Deborah, thanks a lot for coming on this morning. So to the extent, and I know a lot of the details are not clear at this point, but can you give us some sense of what you believe might have happened yesterday in Texas?
Well, certainly the NTSB investigators have arrived on scene. They're going to begin collecting the evidence, but they've investigated hundreds of balloon crashes over the years. And when you look at common causal factors, you really look at the environment, you look at things like winds and power lines, and you also are looking at maintenance and equipment. And so I know that they'll be looking at all of those things. Certainly this is a huge tragedy, but it's one that was really called out earlier when we saw the crash in Luxor, Egypt. The NTSB made recommendations back in 2014 to really step up oversight on these operators.
So you brought up the Egypt crash. One I was going to bring up, 19 people, I believe, were killed when that one crashed in that basket. I think a lot of us were surprised that this one, 16 people, that amount of people could fit in this basket. Is that too many people, or is that an average amount of people in one of these hot air balloon rides?
You know, I'd say that probably the size of the gondola really varies depending on the operation, but that is exactly the reason why the NTSB issued the recommendation, is that concern that you're getting hot air balloons that are carrying capacity more than air tour helicopters or even some fixed wing aircraft. And so we know that passengers are hoping for a fun ride, but they're expecting a safe ride. And so when they're paying for a service, they're expecting some oversight, some safety, and we just don't see that same level of oversight when it comes to balloon operations.
So how safe is going up there? Because it can be really enchanting for a lot of folks. It's on their list of things to do with their family, and a lot of people will get engaged that way, or it can be so magical. How dangerous can it possibly be?
Since the NTSB issued that recommendation back in 2014, there have been over 25 balloon incidents resulting in at least 25 serious injuries, and now we're looking at greater than 20 fatalities in those events. And so while they're not something that happens on a regular basis, they're not as frequent as commercial air travel, which we can go for years and see 0 fatalities in commercial air travel with millions of enplanements. There is some risk involved, just like everything we do. I would absolutely tell consumers to do some research before they take a trip, before you do anything, and make sure you know what the risks are and you know that it's a safe company.
So don't just jump into the first basket that welcomes you. That's good advice. Deborah, thanks a lot for joining us.
Thank you.
So tragic. All right, 4 minutes after the hour, on to politics this morning in the race for the White House. Just days after accepting the Democratic nomination